Hey, what's up everybody? 8-Bit Flashback here. Today I'll be testing out and reviewing the A12 Powkiddy Mini Arcade. The A12 is capable of playing all kinds of retro gaming systems, such as arcade, Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Mega Drive, Neo Geo, PlayStation, and more. Okay, let's go over some of the specs for the A12. For the display, it has a giant 9-inch screen with 1024 by 600 resolution. The CPU is a quad-core ARM Cortex A7. For memory, it has a 32GB SD card that is included with 2400 plus games. And you can expand that memory up to 64GB if you choose. And not only can you play games on this, but you can also listen to music, view photos, or watch movies. And this does feature a rechargeable lithium battery as well. And another thing I would like to mention about the A12 is that you do have the option to add your own games to the micro SD card, and these games can be accessed through the built-in file manager. On the front side of this arcade, it features 6 action buttons, and it also has select, start, back, and volume buttons. And this features a pretty impressive feeling joystick with nice clicky feedback. I'm not really sure how well it's built or what the longevity would be of this joystick, but it feels really nice. On the back of this mini arcade is where the speaker is going to be located, and this is actually a really nice sounding speaker. It actually has a little bit of bass to it as well. There's also the power button, charging port, micro SD card port, headphone jack, USB ports, and HDMI out port. And this does come with a USB-C charging cable and a user manual that tells you what all the buttons do, plus a few more things. Now, because the A12 does feature a 9-inch screen, which works great for some games out there, other games such as Ms. Pac-Man don't work that great. So to fix this, what we can do is go into the display settings and change it from full screen to equal proportions to give games like Ms. Pac-Man a proper aspect ratio. When you're ready to exit the game, you can push the back button, which is located right here, and this will take you to a menu where you can either exit the game, save the game, or resume the game. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the display settings and change it back to full screen, just to show you what it looks like when you're playing Ms. Pac-Man on full screen. And as you can see here, the aspect ratio is way off, but I'm still having fun playing this because everything's so nice and big, but obviously this is not going to be for everyone. Okay, let's try a couple more arcade games out. Here is Tetris. And as you can see, this game's playing just fine, just like Ms. Pac-Man was. Now let's try some Shadow Dancer. This is another arcade game by Sega. And this game's playing great as well. And I'm going to go ahead and play this here for just a few. And let's go ahead and try out a few more arcade games. This is Mega Man. And I'm finding no issues while playing this game. It seems to be playing just fine. And let's go ahead and test out one more arcade game. This is Super Contra. And for all the arcade games I tested, all of them played great. I didn't have any issues. Now I'm sure there's going to be a couple of arcade games that are going to give me some issues and not play the greatest. For example, there's a lot of late 90s games that might be a lot more demanding and might not play that great on this little mini arcade. Now let's go ahead and try out some Nintendo or Famicom, and I believe this is Super Spy Hunter. And this seems to be playing like it should. Now I have noticed with a lot of these ROM sets that are included on the micro SD card, a lot of these games are going to be from different regions and they might play at a different speed. So if you want one that plays at the speed that you're used to, you might have to add the ROM or game yourself to the micro SD card. Now let's try some Game Boy Advance out and we'll play some Sonic Advance. And once again, for the emulation performance, it seems to be doing just fine playing Game Boy Advance games. Now as far as the emulation performance goes with all the different systems on this mini arcade, obviously I don't have time to test all the different games out there. There's literally thousands and thousands of games, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a few games that don't perform that well. But I will give you my honest opinion for each game I test and try to give an accurate description. And here is some TMNT Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive, and as far as I can tell, the game is playing just like it should. The only issue that I'm noticing is the button mapping seems really weird for this game, but I believe you can go to the menu by pushing the back button and change the user controls to whatever you choose. And now I'm trying out some Neo Geo with King of Fighters. and this seems to be playing at full speed, and that audio sounds great as well. Now, I did mention earlier in the video that the speaker does have a little bass to it, and that feels really cool while you're playing these games. Now let's try out some PlayStation, and for the first game we'll try out some Double Dragon. And as far as the emulation performance goes with the PlayStation games, I only tested the games that were on here, and most of these games are not a very demanding game, and they all seem to be playing great. But once again, there's thousands of games just for PlayStation alone. So odds are, there's probably a few games that are not going to have the best emulation performance on this mini arcade. And here's another PlayStation game. This is Mobile Light Force. And this is an awesome fast-paced game with a lot of stuff happening on the screen at the same time. Okay, let's try some Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, and this is Batman Returns. And this is a pretty cool little game. Batman's kind of violent in this game. And as far as I can tell, this game seems to be playing terrific. So out of all the testing I've done with this little mini arcade, it seems to be a great little mini arcade. It can play all kinds of retro systems, and the emulation performance seems to be doing really well. And if anyone out there is interested in getting an A12 for themselves, I'll make sure to put a link in the description. Okay, it's time for me to go. If you like this video, if you could, hit that like button, and have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.